Sixth grade scholars, it is day 3 of week 10. Welcome back to Math at Terry's house. I'm Miss Terry. Congruent or non-congruent? That is the question. We will continue our work on SOL 6.9. Our objective of the day, I will be able to determine the congruence of segments, angles, and polygons given their properties. You will need your notebook, a pencil, a ruler or straight edge, and colored pencils or crayons are optional. Here are your solutions from the video notes from our previous session. Take a moment to review your answers, and if there are errors, see if you can determine where your errors were located. You may need to go back to your learning plan for day 2, week 10, to review the video again. Go ahead and pause your video. So here we are. Can you find lines, angles, or shapes that are congruent in the flag or the picture of the pyramid, or even in this word math? Let's see. Here is a congruent figure. The white is congruent to the red. I like that one. Well, here is an angle that I can find that is congruent. This angle here is congruent to this angle here. So that's just one way. If I look here at the pyramid, I can determine that this angle, if I'm looking at this angle here, is also congruent to this angle here. Looking at the word math, there's a lot of things that I can look at and I can determine congruency. If I look at this line, this is a line, this line segment is congruent to this line segment. That is one way I can look at it. Or I can determine some sides or angle matches. I can also look at some lines of symmetry. What if I took a line and I split it directly vertically in the letter H? Let's see what happens. Here's the letter H. Try to make that as straight as possible. Not too straight, but you can see where I made it. That gives me two identical halves. That is a line of symmetry. I also have a horizontal line of symmetry in the letter H as well. In the other letters, can you find things that are congruent? Hopefully you can find some lines of symmetry in your name or some matching sides or angles. What I would like for you to do at this time is pause the video and go to your learning plan, and you're going to click on our instructional video for today. Please pay special attention to the word corresponding, because that's our lesson. We will be determining corresponding angles and corresponding line segments from various figures. Once you have finished the video and have written down any notes that you deem necessary, join us back in this video so we can continue our practice together. Well, welcome back. So let's try this one. Figures LMN, PQR, and TUV, WXY are congruent. Which line segments in figure TUV, WXY must be congruent to line segment LR? So this line right here tells you that represents a line segment. So line segment LR, and I want to stay in the order, is what I'm going to be looking at, LR. I need to find line segment LR on this figure. Well, I have to be very careful because right now that figure is not in the same position. So I can do one or two things. I can actually trace it and then make sure I turn it in the right position. Pay attention to our figure TUVWXY. Now it's in the same position. So let me do that one more time. That's the original position, and that's the position when it's turned. Now, can you see how easy it is to determine which one corresponds to line segment LR? This one, TY, and remember the order matters. So TY corresponds. Well, here's another way that I can look at this. Look up here. I have LMNPQR and then TUVWXY in the same position. I first say I have line L, here's L, and here's R. Well, what corresponds to LR on our figure that is on the other side of it? T, here's T and Y. And that's the same thing we got when we repositioned our figure. So line segment LR is congruent to line segment TY. Here's one more we're going to practice together. Look at the figures here. We have a right triangle. How do I know it's a right triangle? You guessed it. It has a right symbol here, which denotes that this is a right triangle. If the triangle PQR can be mapped onto the triangle STU, what is the length of line segment ST? So here is, I'm looking for ST. So I'm looking for this right here. So right now I don't have a unit. So I'm looking for whatever this unit is going to be here. I don't have anything there yet. So how can I determine it? I can trace it and turn it, or I can place it in the position that it was originally found. Triangle PQR, based directly on the statement, is mapped to triangle STU. So here is P and Q. I'm kind of highlighting P and Q here. And what corresponds to P and Q? S and T. So here's ST corresponds to PQ. And what is the length of that line segment? 3, which means that ST is going to be 3 units as well. Okay. For your independent practice, you're going to complete both of these questions. Write those down in your notebook. And you can write down just the answers if you like, but make sure you have your answers and we will go through them tomorrow during our next session together. Our objective of the day, I will be able to determine the congruence of segments, angles, and polygons given their properties. I am wholeheartedly sure that after you review this, have done your practice, and looked at the instructional video, that you can and will be able to determine the congruency of segments, angles, polygons, given their properties. But if not, we're going to do some more practice on our next session together. Thank you, 6th grade scholars, and I will see you again soon.